Well, welcome to our Bible study. It's good to be here with you to learn a little bit about Jesus. We're Christians. We need to know about Jesus. Well, today we're going to do a lot of verses. We're going to do 16 verses, but this stuff in this passage is not very difficult. And today, Jesus is going to cast out a difficult demon. Let me start by asking you a question. Were you ever frustrated because you couldn't fix something? Were you ever frustrated? Maybe you had some electrical problem in your house that wasn't working right. Or maybe it was a leak in your dishwasher and you just couldn't figure out how to solve it. Maybe it's with your computer. Your computer just wouldn't work like you wanted it to work, and you tried everything. You just get frustrated because you can't fix it. But then you brought in an expert, an electrician, and that electrician fixed that electrical problem, boom, in about 15 seconds. And the plumber looked at that thing that was leaking, that drip, and he just touched two things, boom, it was done. Or the computer guy came in and just touched a couple buttons on your screen, and it went away. The expert fixed it. Well, the reason I mention that is today there's going to be a problem, and Jesus' disciples were unable to fix the problem. But Jesus came along and boom, fixed it right away. Well, here's the background to today's class. Peter and John and James, Jesus took Peter, James, and John up the mountain with him. And Jesus was transfigured on the top of the mountain. He shone with his glory. Not only that, Elijah and Moses appeared. Not only that, God the Father talked to James and John and Peter out of a cloud and said, "This is my beloved son, listen to him." I mean, it was a fantastic experience for those disciples. The other thing that you need to know in preparation for today's class is Jesus' time on earth is getting short. He is about 6 months, maybe 9 months away from being crucified, died, raised from the dead, and ended up going back to heaven. And it's the fall of the year, and he's going to be crucified the next spring, 6 or 9 months from now. So he's really working hard to prepare his disciples for his departure. Well, let's get right into the scripture. Mark 9:14 says this, "And when they, Jesus, Peter, John, and James, when they came back from the mountain to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them." The large crowd was around the disciples, and some scribes were arguing with them. I mean, they came back, and it was a big commotion, a big deal. Something was going on. A big hoo-ha was going on. And you can imagine what Peter, John, and James were feeling. They were thinking, it was so good up there on the mountain with Jesus. Now we've got to come back to real life, to arguing and all this stuff. I wish we could stay on the mountain forever. And don't you feel that way when you have a mountaintop experience? But no, God brings you back to reality because there is work to be done. Mark 9:15, "And immediately when the entire crowd saw Jesus, they were amazed and began running up to greet him." So you can imagine, they were all gathered around the disciples and intently hear this discussion that's going on or whatever's going on, all that, and they didn't see Jesus come. And they were amazed because Jesus came, because they didn't see Jesus come. That's why they were amazed. Verse 9:16, "And he," Jesus, asked them, he said, "What are you disputing with them? What's going on?" he says. Mark 9:17, "And one person from the crowd answered him." He said, "Teacher," this is Jesus, "I brought you my son because he has a spirit that makes him unable to speak." So that's what all the commotion is about. You see, the man came because he wanted Jesus to cast a demon out of his son. That's why the man came. Mark 9:18, "And whenever the demon seizes him, it slams him to the ground and foams at the mouth and grinds his teeth, and he becomes stiff. And I told your disciples so that they would cast it out, but they could not do it." Now, this was a difficult, evil demon that they were trying to deal with. And you see what happened was they brought him to Jesus. Jesus wasn't there. Where was he? He was up in the mountain with John and Peter and James. And so they went to Jesus' disciples, the next best thing. And the disciples were unable to cast out the demon. Now, if you remember back when Jesus sent his disciples out, he gave them power over demons. And even though they had power over demons, they were unable to cast this demon out. So the question is, why couldn't they cast this particularly difficult demon? I mean, Jesus has given the power to do it. They should have been able to do it. Somehow they failed. They weren't able to cast this demon out. Maybe there was not enough prayer. And we're going to find out that that's one of the issues. There wasn't enough prayer. Or maybe they didn't have enough faith, and we're going to find out that that's an issue. They didn't have enough faith. Maybe it was because Peter and John and James, they were away with there was only 9 of them left. Peter and John and James were up in the mountain, and the remaining 9 couldn't do it. Maybe that's why. I don't think so. I don't think so. Jesus gave each of the 12 authority over demons. Maybe they didn't have enough power. Well, Jesus gave them the power. They should have been able to do it. Or maybe, and I think this has something to do with it too, maybe they tried to cast this demon out in their own power. Verse 9:19, and he, Jesus, answered them and said, O unbelieving generation. There's about the faith. There's the word, unbelieving. O unbelieving generation, how long shall I be with you? How long should I put up with you? Bring him to me. So what did Jesus mean by this? Well, bring him to me. I don't understand what that means. What about the other stuff? Well, I think he was saying it's critical. It's crucial for you to believe. You want to deal with spiritual matters, you want to deal with demons, you got to believe. And your belief was lacking in this case. He's saying casting out demons requires faith. And you know, the other thing I think he was getting at, Jesus was saying, I'm not going to be with you very much longer. It's almost time for me to leave. You're going to be on your own soon. You should be able to take care of these problems. What are you going to do when I'm gone? I'm only going to be here for a little while longer. Get your act together. And I think this was a little bit of a chide. I think he was saying, get your act together. Jesus ever tell you to get your act together? Me too. Once in a while he says, ow, get your act together. Where's your faith? Come on now, get your act together. That's what he was telling his disciples. Get your act together. Verse 9:20, and they brought the boy with the demon, to him. When it saw Jesus, the spirit immediately threw the boy into convulsions, and falling down to the ground, he began to roll around and foam at the mouth. And you can imagine, there's a scene. See, the demon recognized Jesus, and he was incensed at the sight of Jesus. He knew what was coming, and he was incensed. Furthermore, he was determined to fight hard to keep possession of the boy. Didn't want to let go of that boy. And he knew what was going to happen. He was incensed at the sight of Jesus. Verse 9:21, and he, and Jesus, asked the boy's father, how long has this been happening to him? And he said, from childhood. So I don't know how old the boy is. Maybe the boy is 12 years old. Maybe the demon got into him when he was 5 or 6 or 7 or something. So it's been a good long time. Maybe 5, maybe even 7 years is what I guess. I'm just guessing. I just don't know. But it's been there a long time. The boy's father continues. He said, it has often thrown him both into the fire and into the water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. He says, if you can do anything. Now remember, the man came to Jesus confident in Jesus' ability to heal his boy. He came confident that Jesus could cast out this demon. Didn't find Jesus, found his disciples, and what happened? The disciples' failure, because they couldn't cast it, led to some doubt. They said, well, Jesus, if your disciples couldn't do it, are you going to be able to do this? But Jesus responded to him and said, if you can, what do you mean if I can? Of course I can. All things are possible for the one who believes. There's that faith again. All things are possible to the one who believes. So what is Jesus saying? He's saying, I certainly can help you. You got a problem? Jesus certainly can help you. Don't lose your faith now. You've come so far. Don't lose your faith now. Don't let this setback cause you to lose faith. He's saying faith is very important, and that's clear. And I want to tell you that faith can yield supernatural results. You want to do things for Jesus? You need to have faith. You want supernatural results? You've got to have faith. Mark 9:24. Immediately the boy's father cried out and said, I do believe. Help my unbelief. I do believe. Help my unbelief. Please help my unbelief. I do believe. You see, the man believed by bringing his son to Jesus, but he was shaken by the disciples' inability to cast the demon out. Notice that asking God for more faith is okay. I should do this in my prayers. I have not been doing this as much as I should. God, please give me more faith. Give me faith. God, please give me more faith. But I want you also to notice this. The disciples had an opportunity in front of the Jewish leadership, when they were there, the ones that they're arguing with, they had an opportunity to do a good thing for Jesus. And what happened? They failed. See, when you have an opportunity to do something for Jesus, you got to do a good job. It's really, really, really important. The disciples' failure led to all this dispute, led to this man losing some of his faith. So when you have a job to do for Jesus, you got to do it perfectly. Do it as good as what you possibly can. Ask God for help. Pray. Ask God for help. Ask for faith if you need to do that, and that's a good prayer to pray. But do a good job. When you have an opportunity to do something for Jesus, it's really important to do a good job. Mark 9:25. When Jesus saw that a crowd was rapidly gathering, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, You mute and deaf spirit, I command you to come out of him, and do not enter him again. So Jesus commanded the demon. What did he command him? He said, Come out of the boy. You come out of the boy. Furthermore, don't enter the boy again. Don't enter the boy again. I got a couple things here. First of all, do you think Jesus believed in the supernatural? Did Jesus believe in demons? Well, yeah, it's obvious from this passage that we're reading. Jesus believed that was passage. Second of all, I want you to know that Jesus is much more powerful than a demon. That's why this demon was so upset. Because he knew he was no match for Jesus, and he knew Jesus just had to say a word, and he had to leave the boy. Mark 9:26, and after crying out and throwing him into terrible convulsions, it came out, and the boy became so much like a corpse that most of them said, he is dead. The demon says, I'm going to leave. I'm going to do what I have to do, but I'm going to do whatever I can before I have to leave. I'm going to hurt this boy the most I can. That's a typical demonic reaction, right? Demons aren't interested in your good things. Demons are interested in misery and pain. That's what they're interested in. So the demon left the boy reluctantly, but he had to because Jesus cast him out. There was a scream, ah! And there were convulsions, shakings. And possibly the demon, before he left, killed the boy. Possibly the boy was dead. Verse 9:27, but Jesus took the boy by the hand and raised him up. It raised him and he got up. So many theologians believe the boy was literally dead and Jesus brought him back to life. I mean, certainly Jesus had that power. He's got power over death. He's got the power to give life. And maybe Jesus, in this instance, the boy was dead, raised him up. I don't know. But that certainly is possible. And many people believe that that's true. Furthermore, as I mentioned before, I think, Jesus is much more powerful than any demon. Jesus is more powerful than Satan. Jesus is the most powerful. Now, verse 9:28. When he, Jesus, came into the house, his disciples began asking him privately, Why is it that we could not cast it out? They said, we failed. Jesus, we failed. We're really sorry we failed, but why? What happened? What was the reason? Why was it we couldn't do the job that we should have been able to do? What did we do wrong? See, the disciples realized their failures, and they really, really wanted to do better next time. That's one of the most important characteristics that you can have. Recognize your failures and do better the next time. If you do that, if you recognize your failures whenever you fail and you do better the next time, we're going to go a long, long way. It is really important that we learn from our failures. So you fail, you're going to fail. If you got to confess something to God, you confess it, but you learn from your mistakes. If you learn from your mistakes, you will go a long way and do lots of great stuff for Jesus. Verse 9:29, and he, Jesus, replied to their question. He said to them, this kind cannot come out by anything except prayer. So what does Jesus mean by this? Some demons are very difficult to cast out, and that's true. Some are very, very, very difficult. Not for Jesus, but for us, even when we have the authority over demons. But prayer is powerful, and prayer is necessary. Prayer is powerful, and it's necessary. And you want to do great things for Jesus? Pray fervently. You want to do great things for Jesus? Pray fervently. Prayer demonstrates dependence on God. You see, prayer and faith are linked. Prayer and faith are linked because when you go to God in prayer, it shows your faith. It shows your faith. Prayer and faith are linked. If you want to be effective, get close to God. Get close to God in prayer. Get close to God in faith. And some of His power is going to rub off in you. Also some of His love, joy, and peace. One of the most important things we can do is to get close to God, and some of Him will rub off on us and help us be effective in ministry, and also help us be happy and joyful. So, what can you learn from this passage? Well, for sure, faith and prayer are key elements in the Christian life. With faith and prayer, you can do extraordinary things. You want to do an extraordinary thing for Jesus? I don't care if you're in a nursing home. You want to do an extraordinary thing for Jesus? Starts with prayer and faith, and Jesus will let you do extraordinary things. He'll help you do extraordinary things for Him. I hope you learn that some demons are particularly evil and some demons are particularly strong. But I hope you learn Jesus is more powerful than any demon, and He can make you, with prayer and faith, more powerful than any demon. Bring difficult problem. You got a difficult problem? First thing you do with a difficult problem, bring it to Jesus. Bring it to Jesus. He'll help you. You know, it's okay to ask God to strengthen your faith. It shows faith to ask God to strengthen your faith. Ask God to strengthen your faith. And when Jesus asks you to do something, do it with all your might. Do the best job that you possibly can. Work really hard at not failing at the things that Jesus gives you to do. And one other final thing, remember, Jesus truly believed in the spiritual world. He truly believed in demons, and clearly this passage shows that. Well, what is our conclusion from all this? The conclusion is that it's difficult to accomplish anything for God without three things. It's difficult to accomplish anything for God without Jesus, without prayer, and without faith. Three, Jesus, you want to do something great for God? Get Jesus into your life, and pray, and have faith, and you'll do tremendous things for Jesus. Well, if you've been watching, I'm asking every one of you to pray 3 prayers every day. Pray for salvation for those around you. All those people, your family and all the people around you, all of them, even those that you don't like. Second of all, pray against racism. Against racism in our great country. There's no place for racism in our country, or especially there's no place for racism in Jesus' church. Third thing, pray for unity. Please pray for unity. Satan is trying to drive a wedge in the church. He's trying to do that through disunity and through division. And pray against division. Pray for unity in our church and pray for unity in our country. Our country's also very divided. Pray for unity in our country and unity in Jesus' church. Well, I want to thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. One thing left to say. Aloha. See you there. God bless you all.